All right. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joshua Awesome. I'd like to use this opportunity to welcome everybody from wherever you are joining us from. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joshua Awesome. I'd like to use this opportunity to welcome everybody from wherever you are. Okay. Right. So welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua Awesome. From wherever you're joining us from around the world, I'd like to welcome you to monthly Mind Your Mind Masterclass. I started this as a way of helping Africans and by extension, people across the planet to be able to mind their minds, one mind at a time. South Africa as a country honors women this month, and we take it very seriously as an organization to also recognize women across our great country, the continent, and by extension, the world, which is why I'm humbled to be introducing this special edition of what we call the Mind Your Mind Masterclass. I know many people will be watching via YouTube, and to those who are joining us via YouTube, thank you for chiming in. To those who are here on Zoom, thank you. I am a coaching psychologist, and I run Awesome One Holdings that also is full-time practice here in Sandton, South Africa. But aside that, we also have a division that is called the Dr. Awesome Holdings out in Switzerland. And one of the things that we're excited about, and we will be talking about this hopefully before the end of the year, is the unveil of our Calm Center and the soluble vitamins solution that we have achieved some clinical breakthroughs with. Having said that, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody. Thanks to the winning women who are joining us as speakers, facilitators today. They will be hopefully talking to us for about 10, 15 minutes. And then if there are any questions, we can then chat about it. Otherwise, I'd like to just take the next 5, 10 minutes to do my welcome introduction. So I typically like to talk about what brought us to this place and this space of what the African Institute of the Mind is all about. And I recall last decade, I was doing some work for one of the top health brands in South Africa, which has become a global brand. And I suddenly realized that there are a lot of people who were part of that corporate engagement. And after that contact session with the organization paid for, I realized that the need to have the same type of experience, exposure, opportunity to help people to mind their minds who are not within corporate organizations or don't have any form of medical aid or don't have, the big brands behind them. I realized that everybody deserves to get some form of support so that they can in turn also mind their minds. And that was one of the things that catalyzed my interest to offer the same support that we do from a corporate perspective, bringing coaching psychology support, stress reduction, stress management, stress assessment programs that we do for our corporate clients, also for people who cannot afford it. And that was one of the catalysts behind this monthly meetings. I'd also like to say that as one who has had the privilege to sit in several meetings, that has shown me that if we are going to have a better world, it truly has to begin with us having better brains. And better brains, basically, for me, will be being aware about what is happening in between your ears, and growing your level of consciousness to the point where you are able to better understand how to get you to function and be in flow. And even when things are not feeling like flourishing, you are still able to accept and embrace whatever it is that is emerging. And this is one of the things that we continue to do at the African Institute of the Mind. We're grateful for the privilege to have been able to support schools in Gauteng last month and in the past. And I recall going to a public school or a private school in Ekurhuleni. Interestingly, Ekurhuleni means place of peace in the local language. And going there and realizing that there was not a lot of peace in that space. And that space for me meant, the space where these young people were trying to learn. And so much had happened. Some of them had lost their parents to COVID and just didn't know how to, live life and manage it. And we had one-on-one consultations with them to help them come to a point of realization of how to manage and become more aware of what is happening to them, based on the things that happened in their lives and in their families. And we also extended the same to teachers. And the reason why I'm telling this story is because many times we do not prepare for crisis. And when crisis shows up, it does not write us a memo. And talking about, things not writing us a memo, something happened in Europe, and one of my colleagues actually was at the beach, trying to just relax by the seas, and this short video I'm about to share with you is something that happened there. And he sits on our board, and as we were talking about it, it suddenly occurred to me that most times, regardless of how much effort we put into trying to make our day perfect, we really, truly sometimes do not have control of the external. I'd ask you to watch this with me for a minute or less. And please, whatever it is you glean from it, I'd love to hear what your perspective is as we watch this short video together. All right, let's see, where's that video now? There we go.
Yeah, back to my instructions.
All right, so that's the short video, and as I saw as that incident happened, the one thing that came to my mind was, here is this lady at the beach and just trying to unwind, and then all of a sudden she wanted to just have the opportunity to just unwind, and she thought she would just take a yoga pose. Without knowing it, a sea animal comes through, and not knowing that she wasn't offering the animal anything, and it just bit her finger. And it reminds me of how life sometimes can throw us into spaces that we least expect. And I'm curious to know or hear what your perspective is when you are sharing your moment with us. And I guess that's where I would just pause as I pass the baton now to our guest speakers. I think the first person that oh wow, Colleen said you could only hear the video. Oh, you didn't see it. No, my apologies. Okay, let me share it again. It's just a 25 seconds video.
Now we can see it.
Oh my fucking God! You son of a bitch! Oh, he bit my fucking finger! Ah! No! Ah! No!
Yeah, back to my second.
Oh, how many grapes? No, there was getting.
Right. So that's the video. So and over and over again, I always say to myself, and I say this to those who care to listen, you do not get a memo when a challenge is about to emerge. It just shows up, so and this is one of the realities about life. We don't have control over these things. All right, so I'm wrapping up with my bit, but give me an opportunity to just introduce Andrea Smith. Andrea Smith has a big profile, but just for the bits that I'm able to pick up and take out, I'd like to just say a few things about you. Andrea has worked successfully with a diverse client population on a one-to-one and also in a group setting by being an effective motivator, communicator, advocate, possessing an inherent ability to manage all types of personalities. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts is about that personality type that you just saw now, and diffuse stressful situations and proactively resolve issues. She's the author of the book, Fear Less, Live More, which was written to help people meet and achieve challenging goals and objectives. She's worked as a registered nurse in the NHS for 25 years, where she saw so many people going through different levels of stress, patients, their relatives, and their friends. Stress and anxiety also affected many of the nurses, doctors, and health professionals who were treating patients, especially those dealing with people who are extremely ill or suffering with terminal conditions. The above, of course, led her to develop an interest in finding ways to help people through their stressful times. And that interest became the catalyst to qualify her as a health and well-being coach. It gives me great pleasure to pass the baton now to Andrea Smith for her 10 to 15 minutes with us here at the African Institute of the Mind. Andrea, over to you.
Hi, Joshua, hi, Colette, and hi, everybody who's listening. So Joshua has been very, very complimentary in talking about me, so I'm really, really grateful. When I watched that video, it was strange. My perspective was that when she felt the shock of a little animal biting her finger, she did not step back and kind of look at the funny side of it as well, because it was quite funny. Animals don't see, he saw as food, so they don't, and it's like life's challenges. They don't see whether we are rich or poor or incapacitated or not, or have disabilities or not. They just come. So in my practice and even in my daily life, endeavor to teach people how to build their resilience towards these challenges that come towards them. And they come, like I said, no matter what happens to people, they just come towards us and they flirt towards us. So you were talking about what interesting scenario I face in my practice of when, this diverse people that come to me. So I had a particular gentleman come to me many, many years ago. He came to me needing to lose weight because he was need to have both hips replaced because of his overweight. So, first session, he was great. He was trying to tone down his eating. And then he decided to take his kids between both the sessions away somewhere. And I asked him, so did you eat out? What did you eat? Were you able to control your eating? He said, no, I had a McDonald's, but I had to have two. And I just looked at him and thought, the doctors wouldn't operate on you because of your weight. So you decided not to have one McDonald's. You decided it was so stressful taking your kids out. So you decided to have two. Oh, wonderful. Just didn't know what to say. I was so shocked. And I asked him, what did he really want? And what he wanted was me to perform magic. And the magic was for me to make all his stress disappear because he had, children and he had family and his wife wasn't working. And he wanted to still live in that way of the past where as a young child, his parents fed him and he wanted to keep both of those. And sometimes when we face challenges or when we are faced with stressful or things that come at us, we need to decide and make that choice then. What are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? Either we're going to live our lives the way it was, or we're going to make that change. So I teach people to have that perspective, to see the big picture, get a little bit of gist of what they want. And by putting an effort, they can definitely achieve their goal of working on their mindset, working on their mental health, living the life that they choose, but they need to do some work as well. So that was my funny story about this gentleman and his eating. Apart from that, we're also here, Joshua, I think, to talk about how, we are in difficult times. All of us know that. And we're talking about gender equality for women, I think, also in this program here today. So I was born and brought up in India, and as a young Indian woman whose father was quite strict and who, I had to make those choices and decisions and come up with ideas of how I could navigate being a woman to a typical Indian family who, didn't want me to do certain things and wanted me to do whatever they wanted me to do. So as we are listening on the news and these difficult times about hearing what's happening in Afghanistan and all over the world, the women's rights are getting restricted, and we cannot, everybody has to get together and decide that how we want to move forward. Women should be able to decide that they own their own bodies and they want to choose their own lives, and we must fight towards equality. So I'm calling it, change makers for all ages and genders to tackle this unfinished business of empowering women. And I'm calling it, I would love to be a part of this generation that ends gender inequality. I want to also teach people how to work on their mindset and their stress so they will be able to live the lives that they want.
Right. Well, thanks for that, perspective about, the story, and also, the video of the woman who got bit by that. But I'd like you to just take the floor now and just, for the next couple of minutes, maybe 8 or thereabout minutes, share with us something that is very strong on your mind, that you think any woman who is watching this, who really truly would like, from your professional perspective, what you would recommend on how to navigate as a woman in this time that we find ourselves in particular? Thank you.
So Joshua, not a lot of people know about this about me. As I've said, I'm of Indian origin. I was married to a British person, and that's why I live here in the UK. So when he left and he decided to go, I was left with 2 children of 4.5 and 8. Now, in my perspective is that an Indian woman who is in a country who has no family in the United Kingdom would struggle to bring her children up and achieve the goals that she wants. But I thought, no, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm not going to let society dictate who I am, regardless of my color, my race, my gender, my anything. I need to show my children and, myself, I can be all what I wish to be. So I went back to university, already had a degree in nursing. I went back to university, got my first degree, and then went on to do my master's. Now, I did all of this as a single mom of 2 children in the United Kingdom with no support and nobody to look after my children, but I worked around my children's school hours, plus worked as a registered nurse. And I feel really strongly that if I could do that, I could get my master's in psychology and fight these norms and these, barriers that were put due to society of what I can and cannot do, then anybody can do that. So my way is to encourage each woman to look within herself, find what she would like to achieve in her life. Take small steps and achieve those small goals. I run a successful practice now, but that doesn't mean I've not had those challenging times, or I've not been bit by that small animal, or I've not had those ups and downs. But every time I face those failures, I would literally stand up, crawl up, do whatever it took to sit upright and learn how I was going to take that next step to achieve the things that I want. And I have shown that. My son is now 23 years old. His father left when he was 8. My daughter is 20. Her dad left when she was 4.5. And they're both doing exceptionally well. And that is such an amazing feat. They're not doing well not only because of what I taught them, because I showed them what I can do, regardless of what life challenges brought to me. And I would encourage every woman to stand up, look at herself, see what she can do, how she wants to achieve it, take small steps, ask for help, reach out to people. And by doing that, focus on the things that she would like to achieve. Find a way to beat all the odds. So I now have 2 degrees and a master's. I have written a book recently. And a part of that book is how I was petrified every step of the way. Some days I couldn't get to my children's school on time to pick them up. Some days I couldn't. I needed to drop them off an hour early before school because I had no choice. I had nobody to look after them. But every stage we talked as a family, and I said to them that these are the choices, but I was always present. And now my son already has a degree. He's going in for his master's, which starts in a couple of weeks. My daughter is working for Lloyds Bank in the UK and is then next year completing her degree in maths. And they are such incredible children that I see what I could achieve in their eyes. And I can see for myself, regardless of what challenges, what storms came my way, I was able to do it. So I've got a little simple tip that I would encourage everybody in your audience to listen. I call it my 3 Ps. First P is I would just take a step back and take a breath. Just pause, just listen to yourself and that negative thought that you're thinking about. That's not going to happen. And all of these things are just our negativity. My second is turn around, find a different way of going about and doing your life. Choose a small part, take a small job, but, study at night, do something that makes you happy. And the last is find what's your passion and your purpose and flow according to that. Because my passion and purpose is to teach every individual I meet how to build a strong mindset. So whenever those challenges come, they're able to face it. So thank you for Joshua for giving me the floor. And I have loved being here.
You're on mute, Joshua.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea. The 3 Ps, pause, path, passion.
Pivot is the second one, is pivot. In the turn around and, do something that's just different. One of my friends says that if you're drinking a cup of coffee and you're holding your left hand, next time, do something different, hold your right hand. Just do something different to change that mind chatter.
Absolutely. And that activity, that action actually helps shift something in the brain. So thank you so much. Thank you. We deeply appreciate, that. And I'd like to say that I also believe that you embody what you've just shared. There's a lot of passion coming from you, and to also hear you talk about the story of your journey and your children who are now exemplifying what you have also embodied is a very great thing. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And I'm really looking forward to the privilege and the opportunity to hopefully do some more work with you. As you possibly, if you recall, it's one of the things that we spoke about. So Andrea, one more time, thank you so much for sharing that which you have shared. So in about a minute or two, I'm going to hand over and just pass, the I would say the microphone now. I'm going to pass over the microphone to our next speaker, presenter, who interestingly is a woman that I have had the privilege to join in several, industry meetings here in South Africa. And over again, I must say that I love the consistency with her work and her showing up. And that for me says a whole lot about the type of person she is. So Colleen, married for 27 years, mom to a daughter, love how small the world has become through technology. There may be no eyes in team, but there are many eyes in we. Organizations are not inanimate. They are made up of people. Colleen works at growing organizations by growing people, both personally and professionally, through coaching, mentoring, and facilitation. Colleen journeys with her clients through the fear zone of change so they can reap the benefits of learning and growth. Connectedness gives us meaning, and Colleen creates a safe but challenging space for people to come out of departmental silos and to focus on growing systemic relationships. You know, as I was sharing and reading this bit and portion of what Colleen does, one of my quotes came to my mind, and the words of those quotes are, people enable people to succeed. And I remember that quote came to me at the base of Kilimanjaro just before I began my climb of Africa's highest point. It gives me great pleasure now to pass the baton to Colleen for her presentation. Over to you, Colleen.
Thank you so much, Joshua, and thank you for the invitation. It always fascinates me to see how people are going to introduce you, what's going to speak to them, and what little nuggets of little tidbits are going to come out of their mouths.
All right.
Hello, Andrea. Yes. Hello, Andrea. Congratulations on your choice, in that every single day you've got up and you've chosen to change the narrative, to make your narrative different. And yeah, just kudos to you in that it's not a decision that you just made years gone by when you had little babies. It's every single day, every moment of every single day you've chosen to do that. So yay for you. Going back to our video and our lady who was trying to have a peaceful time on the beach. Okay, I think for me, it's about seeing that stress happens. Things are going to happen. I also come from healthcare. I also come from a sales environment originally, and it's very much about you can't plan the day and know, right, A is going to happen, then B, and then C. Hell no. You've got to be all over the place, but remember to come back. So for me, I think as well, they're seeing that it's not that stress happens to us. It's about recognizing the emotions in that stress. It's about, yay, how unpleasant, how different. But then to realize that she has a choice. So quite frankly, when I was watching it, I was thinking, she's damn lucky it was only a finger, and that she still has a finger. It was just a little nibble. It could have been her whole arm. Yes. So there it is about saying not that stuff's not going to happen to us. It's we have got the power to choose how we react to the stuff that happens to us. So that is the important bit. Exactly as Andrea could have sat down and said, oh, woe is me. Husband went off, I've got 2 young children, I can't, blah, 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 blah. That ladder of accountability is so powerful, as what Andrea did. She embraced what was happening to her. She said, let's go find solutions, let's go whatever. And it's not saying that it was just all raw, okay. There were days, I'm sure, that she sat in a corner crying. But it's about the choice of saying, right, what do I do next? How do I continue with that? Then when you look at women, I've been seeing, especially now with us being in lockdown, with us having to work from home. For me, it was like, oh, okay, I'm quite happy to live in my mess, as you can see. I have no urge to run along and tidy it or do whatever. I've seen a lot of women who work from that a home needs to be a certain way, that their narratives say, you have to clean the floor every day, you have to pick this up, you have to this, you have to's, okay. That life for them has become very difficult because instead of leaving home and going to work and then leaving work and coming home, they've had to live in their space 24/7. What I'm also seeing as well is that then it's been children at home, homeschooling, connecting this, where's dinner, how's the, all the chaos that goes with that. When I've spoken to people who've said that they're absolutely exhausted, they're categorically exhausted. And I've said, well, what are your children? And especially like as Andrea and I, my daughter's 24. So it's more a case of like using my own example in my situation. Back in March in 2020, I said to my daughter, well, hello, you could have cooked dinner, And she said, Mom, you never asked. And then, you huff and puff and you go like, why must I ask, blah, blah, blah. And I think often, so often, we expect people to know what we want, what we need. And there's no child in the world who's going to step forward and say, you know what, Mom, let me cook dinner tonight. Not a chance. So then along came the daughter and said, well, let's have a schedule. So the next second we had the schedule, okay, who's cooking when? And then I decided, okay, I wouldn't be doing dishes. I would cook Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. She would do Mondays and Wednesdays. My husband does Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they also do the dishes. And ever since March last year, we've never changed it. That's still how our life works. But when I said to one of my clients the other day, I said, okay, well, you've got adult sons, you've got grown up boys, what can they do? She said, oh, no. But I'm saying, but like, even if they can't cook, can't you teach them? Can't they, I'll eat whatever you cook. If you decide to serve toast for me, well, that's what I'll serve. That's what I'll eat tonight. He said, oh, no. It has to be. And this is where I'm finding as women that we can't move forward as long as we hold on to the old way of it has to be. We have to have meat and 3 veg and potatoes and something for dinner. It has to be. What also as well is when we let go of the fact that we make dinner every night, it's almost like we're losing our meaning. So if we let go of that, I looked after, I nurtured, I've whatever. And I sat there thinking, yeah, I don't think I failed at all as a mother in that for like 18 months. I have only cooked 3 times a week. But we can't move forward. So we can't decide about equal rights. We can't decide about, yay, let's go do it. Look, we've signed it into being. If each woman's heart is not able to embrace it. So what I work with people is to go through that scary thing of, here's my comfort zone. This is the way it's worked for generations, from when Granny was whenever. We have done it a certain way. How do we change it now? We have to step out of that comfort zone into the fear. But what happens if? What will people think of me? What happens if kiddo makes better dinner than me? Well, hallelujah. To be able to go into the learning and growth. But that whole thing of, yes, people know they need to step out, but they don't always know how. And it's quite scary to do it on your own. So as a coach, I work with people to be able to go through the fear zone to emerge into the learning and growth. And it might sound silly, so, like I always advise you, say, okay, when you've always behaved a certain way and come Monday, oh, well, guess what? I always encourage people to have a line in the sand meeting of saying, yes, on this side of the line, Mom made dinner every night. On this side of the line, Mom ain't going to. So how's it going to work? And to also sit around, have the family meeting saying, what day would you like? Choose your day. Okay. The fact that you're going to have a day is not negotiable, but which day would you like? And then make sure that you do it, that you uphold it. And yeah, you might get something that is not edible for a few times, but when they've eaten it enough, they'll learn how to make it edible. Yeah, you know that idea of, oh, well, I just won't do it properly and then Mom will take it over. Too many moms do take it back, as opposed to saying, well, we're going to eat rubbish food until you learn how to cook it better. Simple as that. Yeah. So I also work with healthcare practitioners. And it's also about saying, all right, in terms of burnout, in terms of where they're going, it's also taking the way we always worked and to go through that fear zone of working a different way, of changing the different way we've looked at things, to be able to say, right, so every single day, every single moment is a choice. And we have the power in the choice.
Wow.
I was lip reading your wow.
I must say that, as I listen to you unpack your perspective and the lenses that you use to mirror the need for that shift to happen, I love the way you spotlighted fear as a zone. And in a way, how it restricts us from navigating from where we have lived for so long to the new space that we would like to see emerge. I also liked, I like the bit where you talked about asking. You know, one of my mentors used to say, asking is the portrait of humility. You know, sometimes we don't ask and then we want something to happen. It doesn't work that way. You know, ask and say, can you do this? Would you do that? Can I kindly get you to support in this area? And it pretty much helps us to then, you know, get out what is inside us, as against, you know, just thinking that everybody is able to know what we want them to do deep inside our minds. I must say that I'm really looking forward to seeing how we as human beings gradually embrace where we are right now. Because I really think the fact that many of us are not accepting where we are, that's why we're finding ourselves in this uncomfortable place. You know, some people still talk about, and it's funny, I have an Instagram account, and once in a while when I'm doing my posts on Thursdays for me, I call it Thought Leadership Thursday. And I see many people on Thursdays, theirs is Throwback Thursday. And the one thing that always hits me is, well, it's not bad to revisit the past, but if you keep having a throwback, it means there's really nothing exciting happening right now, you know, that you really want to focus on, that you keep throwing back to stuff that has happened in the past. And it's funny because many people just keep that as a lifestyle, and without knowing, it brings you into an unconscious space where you are not looking at the good things that are emerging, and you're focusing on the stuff that has happened. And there's nothing wrong in, you know, celebrating the successes of the past, but to keep dwelling on the past, you know, in a way would limit us. And I like the way you packed it and unpacked it there, the fear zone. I believe there's a whole lot we can learn from that. I'd like to ask, you know, if somebody is in that place where they don't know, you know, how to go about it, or they're so overwhelmed. Maybe they have, I mean, Andrea said she has 2, maybe they have 3 kids, or they have 4, or they have 5, you know, what would you say to such a woman, you know? And because there are people who are watching on YouTube now who possibly are wondering, okay, yeah, maybe she has 1 daughter. Andrea has 2. What about me that has 3, 4, 5?
And a partner. What I would recommend is that they reach out to a professional like Andrea or myself. I always say it's a bit like going on a road trip, where you then saying, okay, if I had to say to you, Joshua, go to Cape Town, you go like, oh, where? And especially for Andrea, if I had to say, Andrea, go to Cape Town, you say, oh, where's that again? Which direction? But if I had to say to you guys, okay, guess what? We're going to go to Cape Town now. Let's go. All right. Then it's an adventure. Then it's a road trip. And yeah, we might go down a wrong road. We might come, but it's fun. We can laugh together. We can learn. And that's when you work with a professional, because the professional does a journey with you. Suddenly you're not alone. You're not in that fear zone all alone. We're not going to go through the fear zone for you. We're not going to say, oh, darling, you just sit here. Let me just do it for you. Okay. But we're going to hold your hand. We're going to hold the space. We're going to believe in you that you can do it. And so you're a lot more likely to achieve results, to get there, and then also not be paralyzed by fear. Because often what happens is when we reach the fear, you're either paralyzed by it, or you want to fight it, or you run away. And exactly as you said, Joshua, is that people have not even going back. They're sitting under the leaf, waiting for 2019 to come back, because we don't like 2020 and 21. I'm just going to sit under this leaf and wait for the tsunami to pass. And it's more a case of like, guys, it's not going to. So many people said, I'm not going to learn new technology because if I wait long enough, it'll pass. I'm just going to sit here waiting. And other people have said, oh, well, this road's blocked. Let's go try a new thing. Better learn how to do Zoom. Better learn how to do whatever. Just using tech as an example. And so that's the thing is we need to go forward, not keep on waiting. But people they aren't even going back. They literally are sitting here waiting for the past to catch up. I hate to tell you, it isn't. We can never go back. You know that old expression that a man cannot cross the same river twice? It's not the same man and it's not the same river. Well, hello, it's not the same years. We're done.
Like
so
that.
It's about how to go forward.
I like that. And you know, and I think, and I don't know, and Andrea, do you have a perspective on this? Because the one thing that we keep noticing is that many people are still in that zone where they are feeling, so when will this end? You know, the pandemic, the way the world is, you know, and some people are still dreaming of a past life and waiting for something to come back and feeling, you know what, I'm just here temporarily. No, this is not a dress rehearsal. The other day I was at the stores here in Sandton City, and I wanted to get something, and the guy behind me was like, so when will this, you know, wearing a face mask and this, you know, this new normal, when will it be over? So I looked at him and I said to him, bro, you know what? The life we were living, that was actually abnormal. That was abnormal because many people were buried into their own lives, their phones, me, myself, and I, nobody else matters, you know, and the fact that we are globally grieving right now. Everybody knows somebody who's lost somebody.
Yes.
And to be able to then recognize that it's collective. We are all globally grieving. It's a global grief. And so we need to collectively heal also. So if we're grieving together, we need to be healing together. And I think just being patient with each other and recognizing that each one teaches one, each one lifts one, will make the world a better place, you know, and us also slowing down, because I think the thing that really pretty much gets a lot of people into that clenched state is because they've not come to accept what is. I like, yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joshua, completely. I want to give an example, and I thank you, Colleen, for, you know, this is such an important topic. So my example is that, do you know, sometimes you go to the cliff and then you see a tree growing, and that tree is being hit by storms, hit by wind, rain, whatever. And so that tree is growing like that. But from that side, there's a shoot growing, and there's a new branch, and there's a new life. And for me, that's where I see us growing together. Every day I have a mantra that I can and I will do something. And the first thing I am kind. You know, I go for a walk every day. And when I'm going, there's always a smile on my face. I've woken up early. I am feeling like everybody else is feeling, drowsy. It's a Sunday. You feel tired, but I have a smile. And that smile brightens up someone else. So like Joshua says, be kind, lift somebody up, just smile, pick that person up. So there is a shoot that's growing on the other side. If we can all collectively grow people's mindset and do something different. Imagine you're speaking to somebody and that somebody keeps talking about the bad things and the bad things that have happened to them. They don't know that there is a way that they can just trash. Do you know that brilliant thing that you have in your computer, the trash box? I do a lot of trashing, a lot of the negative. Use the trash button, trash that stuff and start to build a better future, even if it's one small step of going for a walk. maybe in the sunshine. As you can see, there's a sun in my face, which is different in the UK. I must admit, we're going into our winter, but I'm enjoying the sunshine. I'm enjoying something different. I'm enjoying watching the plants, still flowers, still. So it's just different. And I'm also kind to my fellow man. I'm just kind to somebody, I went into London yesterday. I was kind to somebody on the street. He said, oh, keep smiling. And that's all he had, a smile from me. And that made him have hope that he can smile. Yes, he's poor, he's down on his luck, whatever. I gave him some money, £1, and then I smiled and said, keep smiling. Be kind to one another. And we have to try one person at a time.
Wow. Well, I think I'd like to just begin to bring this to a close. But before we do that, I just wanted to just take a moment to just also talk briefly about what you mentioned, Andrea, about the sun coming to you out there. I once in a while, I ask myself, what's good about this season? So, for example, in South Africa, many people don't like winter. The gyms have less and less amount of persons, during winter here. And I really have also noticed many people don't like showing up for work during winter seasons. But the reality is that just as winter comes to us and comes when it ought to, it gives way for the next season. I mean, we're approaching summer here now. And Andrea, you guys are already in summer. So we're on the same planet, but we're in different seasons. And recognizing that in itself is very beautiful, to realize that no season lasts forever. And that every one of us will at some point in our lives find ourselves in a place that we possibly, don't like to be in. For example, sometimes we feel stressed. Most people say the place they feel stressed the most is their neck. Now, for another person, it could be their whole body. Another person, it could be their shoulders, it could be their head, For some people, it could be, their eyeballs, and other person, their wrists, or whatever it is, it will not last forever. And the same beautiful thing about the sun, the rain, winter, I believe every one of us, will transition from whatever season we're in right now, that we feel we're not getting the very best from. And it will take us from that place to the next space and place that will hopefully cause something better and beautiful to emerge. I'm going to put Priscilla on the spot now and ask her, Priscilla, what was your perspective about that video? Priscilla?
Sorry, I was trying to put my video and mute as well. That video was actually quite interesting. I think for the most part, it was actually funny. But I think that is actually a perfect representation of sometimes when you are making plans, life brings you a whole lot of things that just disturb every single thing. But the good thing is that you always just need to be able to navigate through the issues. Whatever barriers come through, you just push through. The frustration will definitely be there, but just move past what is happening and what has disturbed you and just keep it moving.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Priscilla. I like the fact that, every one of us has at one point or the other faced something that we didn't expect. And I think that really is what makes life. If your heart starts beating on a straight line, that really is the end. And so the boop, 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 is a very clear example of the fact that that is how life is to bring you to that high note and that low note, that peak, that valley. And hopefully life will bring us all into a better space and a better place in the days ahead.
True.
Yeah. So ladies, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for your contributions for this month's Mind Your Mind Masterclass. And as we usually like to close, I'd like us to just, bring ourselves into that place, if you may. If you'd like to close your eyes, you're welcome to do so. If not, you want to lower your gaze and just take a deep breath in, hold it, and out. In, hold, and out. You're welcome to open your eyes. Please let that singular act of being mindful bring you into that moment of recognizing that life will bring you into moments, to spaces, to places that only requires your attention to attention. So as you continue to mind your mind, life will definitely be better sooner than later. I would like to begin to close, but I'd like to one more time express my sincere gratitude to Andrea and Colleen for joining us. We do not know why Tinashe wasn't here, but we're grateful that those who are able to join us via YouTube, and if you're watching via YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome to share the video. And we believe that every one of us can have a better life by beginning with a better brain. And on behalf of the African Institute of the Mind, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude one more time to Andrea and Colleen, and to every woman out there and the men that love them. We thank you all for the efforts, the contribution you're making in these trying times. We believe that together we can make the world better when we begin by having better brains and we're able to mind our minds, one mind at a time. Until next time, when we come your way, actually next month end, when we come your way again with the next Mind Your Mind edition, I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and I wish you the very best from me and the entire team and our guest speakers today. Bye for now.